Here in this video we will discuss the biology of a custodian from the Adeptus Custodes and then compare or find out the differences with the Space Marine of the Adeptus Astartes. We will begin with explaining in short the biology and anatomy of a Space Marine for reference and then go on to the Custodian. We will also in the end compare them in terms of size, power and other metrics. So let's get to it. The transformation of a normal human into a Space Marine is an extensive and grueling process that involves years of surgical implantations, genetic modifications and intense physical and psychological conditioning. By the end of this, the newly inducted Space Marine can comfortably be termed as a transhuman soldier. And when you place his body side by side with a baseline human, the innards would seem alien to the layman. See, Space Marines are one of the elite types of superhuman warriors of the Imperium of Man. They all started as normal humans, as kids, but after the end of the process of transformation, he is anything but a normal human. This process relies on the implantation of gene seed organs, which are highly specialized genetic material derived from the Primarchs, and also the Emperor of Man for the Grey Knights. These then grow within the aspirant's body to create a series of extraordinary organs. In total, there are 19 implants, or 22 for the Primaris, each serving to enhance their combat effectiveness, survivability and adaptability of the Space Marine. Thus, a Space Marine's anatomy is a fusion of human biology and genetic augmentation. These enhancements transform them into superhuman warriors. They would possess a secondary heart for increased blood flow, an osmodular for denser bones, and biscopia for massively augmented muscles. Additional organs like the liman's ear help with perfect balance and super hearing. The catalepsin node helps to resist fatigue, and the multi-lung for breathing in toxic environments. They can eat almost anything with the homophagia, which also helps them to gain memories from consumed flesh. Even the black carapace links them directly to their power armor. There are also other organs like the melanchrome, the catalepsin node, the oculope, the sus-and membrane, the neuroglottis, the Becher's gland, progenoids, oolytic kidney, mucranoid, preumnor, Larraman's organ, and the Primaris sinew coils, the Magnificat and the Belisarian furnace. When the transformation is complete, the recruit is no longer truly human but something far greater, with 19 or 22 new organs that are transplanted. The aspirant would have then become an Astartes, a post-human warrior built to withstand the galaxy's worst threats. Now, Custodians aren't just souped-up Space Marines, they're a whole different thing. The process to create them is very mysterious to say the least and way more complex than the one used for Space Marines. We don't really know the steps really. It starts super early, right at infancy. Most Custodians are chosen from noble families on Terra, and only those infants who are genetically compatible with the Emperor's bioalchemical process would make the cut. Unlike Space Marines where organs are implanted, the Custodian's transformation begins at a genetic level, altering them on a cellular and molecular scale. So instead of sticking a bunch of extra organs inside, the Emperor just re-engineered the bodies to push every human trait to the absolute biological limit. Their genes are tweaked to the point where they generate muscles that are denser, bones that are stronger, and brains that work like supercomputers. They don't have the Space Marine's second heart or other gene seed organs, but they don't really need them as their entire body is finely tuned to the absolute limits of human potential. But there is one puzzle here. While in the Watches of the Throne, a Custodes describes the black carapace as a crude bioling, suggesting that the Custodians are above using them. The Tide's animation, however, shows the Custodian there with a black carapace before suiting up with the Auramite power armor. So I'm guessing that the Custodes have a different yet similar carapace. Maybe their only gene seed organ that is designed to link up their superhuman bodies with the super armor in ways that the Astartes version cannot. In the end, when the post-mortem is done to a Custodian, assuming that it's not a heresy to do so, the body structure as well as the number of organs would not differ much from a normal human. The differences would lie in the molecular density of their flesh, as well as the sizes of their organs as well as their efficiency. Unlike the Astartes where one would find 22 or more additional organs, the Custodian body would be human in every way except it's all maxed out to the limit. Their bodies are also designed to be resistant to the warp, They are warded against its corrupting influence at the genetic and even spiritual level. This is why no custodian has ever been a psyker, nor has any one of them been corrupted by chaos. Well, they have been possessed, but they haven't been corrupted. It's a deliberate design by the Emperor to ensure they are incorruptible and always loyal to him. And about their loyalty, it's unshakable, not just because they have been conditioned to be loyal, but because their minds are built differently. They are immune to psychic manipulation, and they have a level of mental clarity and focus that's light years away ahead of even the smartest space marines. To sum it up, custodians are like 100% human, but they're what happens when you take human biology and push every aspect of it to the extreme potential. No extra organs, no gene seed like the marines, just pure genetic perfection. Now here's something that's really interesting. Even the custodians don't fully understand how they are made now. Over the millennia, some parts of the process have been lost or deliberately kept secret. The Emperor himself back then was said to have had a hand in every Custodes that was created in the beginning, and it seems that every one of them was unique in a way. But now that the Emperor is but a corpse on the golden throne, the real question now becomes, how are the new ones created? They're handcrafted, irreplaceable warriors whose individual value to the Imperium is comparable to entire planets at the least. But are they as good as the original custodians of the Great Crusade era? That's one thing that Games Workshop would have to tell us sooner or later. So one of the key differences between Space Marines and Custodians lie in how their bodies are maintained over time. Space Marines, as incredible as they are, have a metabolism that is fundamentally unstable due to the way they are created. This means that they are dependent on regular medical oversight and chemical treatments to keep everything running smoothly. In fact, according to the Adeptus Astartes article, The Rites of Initiation, even after a Marine's transformation is complete, periodic treatments continue for the rest of their lives. That's why their power armor is equipped with monitors and drug dispensers. It's more than just a battle gear, it's a life support system. Well, not life support system, but something that maintains the body and helps to manage their metabolic quirks. This makes you think that the Space Marines, like the Thunder Warriors, are but stepping stones towards something more ultimate, and they only serve but a singular purpose, which is temporary. The Custodes, on the other hand, are a whole different story. Their bodies are metabolically and physiologically stable, a testament to the depth and precision of their creation process. They don't need regular treatments nor medical interventions to keep them alive. Dan Abnett's Blood Games illustrates this beautifully, showing just how self-sufficient and resilient the Custodians are. While Astartes rely on the infrastructure of their chapters to survive, a Custodian can roam the galaxy without needing anything beyond his own strength and skill. These warriors can fight off against enemies for months without rest and have been trained to keep vigil over the Imperial Palace for years on end without even moving, without food or water for a long time. This makes you think that the Custodes might be the ultimate vision of the Emperor as to what humanity would transcend into. This is explored more in the Watchers of the Throne, in the Emperor's Legion. Here, the Custodian called Valerian states that the 10,000 were not really meant to be warriors or an army. They were meant to be a part of a grander vision that the Emperor had for humanity before the Horus Heresy ruined it all. Now let's get on to comparisons, starting with size. Space Marine are already massive compared to regular humans, even before they put on their iconic power armors. Without the armor, they stand a bit over 7 feet tall, somewhere around 2.1 meters. They're pretty much uniform in size across the board, on average, but there are exceptions. Some legendary figures like Tiberius the Red Wake, Sadon, and even Ranulf the Strong are described to be towering over others, pushing close to 10 feet or about 3 meters. In the book Dark Hunter, it is even noted that the firstborn Marines are over 7 feet tall, so that's canon. Then comes the Primaris Marines, which are upgraded ones that are even taller than the firstborn. It's not really an exact measurement, but they're likely to be over 8 feet, or around 2.4 meters. These guys are dense too, weighing somewhere between 350 to 500 kilograms, or maybe up to 1,000 kilograms, depending on their armor and gear, well, as per the Death Watch core rulebook. Now, the Adeptus Custodes are in a league of their own. They're the Emperor's personal bodyguards and are crafted to perfection, both genetically and physically. These guys tower over everyone. Without their helmets, they're already about 9 feet tall, almost 2.7 meters. And when you factor in the cone-shaped crescent helms and ornate golden power armor, they hit a full 10 feet or more. Standing next to one of these guys would make even a Space Marine look a bit small. It's not a shot in the dark to also assume that they weigh more than the Astartes, so between 700 and 1500 kilograms. And that's being modest since we don't know how heavy Oromite is or how thick or dense their muscles are. Now next, power. Let's talk about how crazy strong, fast and reactive Space Marines and Custodes really are. So as per the Death Watch core rulebook, a starting Space Marine can carry 1350 kilograms or 1.35 tons. They can lift 2.7 tons over their head and push a massive 5.4 tons. And that's just the baseline, the starting Astartes. With their power armor on, these numbers would shoot up even more, thanks to the server strength enhancements built into their gear. Space Marines aren't just about brute strength though, they're also incredibly fast. It is widely accepted in the lore that they can run at speeds of up to 60 miles an hour or 100 kilometers per hour for sustained periods of time, though this doesn't really always make it to the animation or games. Their reflexes are also just insane. These guys can dodge bullets, slap them out of the air, and react in mere milliseconds, usually in the 2-digit millisecond range. Now when it comes to the Custodes, well, take all of that and crank it up to 11. Their strength dwarfs that of the Astartes. They are way stronger. The legendary Constantine Valdor, the first and greatest of them all, is said to be almost as strong as the Primarchs themselves. And considering the Primarchs can casually toss tanks over and lift the foot of a Scout Titan, you can imagine what even the average Custodian is capable of. Speed? Oh, they're on another level. Custodes are so fast, they can easily take on squads of Space Marines at once, reacting and processing information in less than a microsecond. That is their reflex. Even the weakest of them are far quicker than your typical Marine, and their reflexes are absolutely off the charts. Now finally, let's take a look at lifespan. Space Marines live way longer than normal humans. They are extremely long-lived, with most of them being over a century old, and many of them dying in battle around the 2 or 3 century mark. But if they aren't killed, they can go on living for tremendous amounts of time. There are individual Marines that are thousands of years old. Take Dante for example. He is more than 1500 years of age, but also visibly old. There was also High Marshal Ludoldus, who lived up to 2000 years. And then, you cannot forget the salamander called Gravius, who survived in a dormant state without being in a sarcophagus of a dreadnought. Well, he survived for 11,000 years. But this Space Marine then was in a horrifically withered and frail state. His mind had become addled and remembered little from his vast lifespan, and was given the Emperor's mercy, a quick death. But that just shows you that maybe 11,000 years is the absolute limit for an Astartes. Now as for the age of the Custodians, well, they stop aging at around the age of 30, but can keep going indefinitely unless they are taken out in battle. Trajan Valoris is somewhere around 5,500 years of age and still fit and fine. And Valdor, Constantine Valdor, if he is still out there, the King in Yellow, he would be over 12,500 years. So Custodes might be biologically immortal, but then again, they're not perpetuals. They cannot be termed as perpetuals since when they're killed, they can't come back to life. So when age or injury eventually slows them down, many don't just fade away. Instead, they hang up their golden war gear and become the eyes of the Emperor. These retired Custodians roam the Imperium, often blending into the background as observers or advisors. They're not just warriors, but emissaries and secret agents fighting for the Emperor. So if Trajan Valoris, who is 5,500 years of age, is still in fit condition, imagine the age of those who are the eyes of the Emperor. The old Custodes, well, maybe they're around 10,000 years or more, and they're still out there in secret, hiding in the shadows. So let's take a look at this from another point of view. If Gravius, the oldest Space Marine, died, or was addled and really bent out of shape at 11,000 years of age, but Constantine Valdor is still out there at 12,500 years of age, and that we haven't really seen a Custodes or heard about one dying of old age. We don't really know how old they can get. Maybe they can live for up to 20 or 30,000 years. Who knows? And now I hate to say it, but that's about it for now on the biology of the Custodes and their differences in comparison to the Space Marines. So if you like this video, then watch this other one too. Leave a like for support and subscribe for more content if you haven't. Till the next time, take care, boys.